good morning, or good afternoon, or good day. The talk for today is about I am a child of God, therefore. I am a child of God, therefore. Well, when Myrtle first heard that in 1887, 88, we're not really sure. But when Myrtle Fillmore first heard that concept, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness, that concept, that affirmation, that practice of focusing her attention on I am a child of God, therefore, transformed her life, my life, probably your life. That transformational power comes not from the words, but by the focused energy of I am a child of God. You see, Myrtle claimed her connection with the God of her understanding. And claiming that connection with the God of her understanding, she was transformed from what she thought she was. You see, Myrtle was a sickly child, and for 30-something years had always thought of herself as sickly. She had consumption, what we would call tuberculosis now. And somehow, all of those labels and ideas, she had been given 6 months to live. And yet, I am a child of God. Therefore, I do not inherit sickness. As she focused on that, she released her labels, the definitions, the things that had been her custom and source. And she went on to live for another 40 years. She went on to become a strong, vibrant woman that transformed a spiritual consciousness by this claiming of I am a child of God, therefore. Now, I have to tell you, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness. Really doesn't do it for me. I don't have the same baggage that she had. But for me, what really has transformed my life was the beginning of something called the Desiderata. Max Hirmann in 1927 said, "You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars, and you have a right to be here. And whether or not it's clear to you, there is no doubt that the universe is unfolding exactly as it should." Wow. I'm a child of the universe? I'm a child of the universe? I'm not limited by where I live and what I do and my parents and what kind of education. I'm a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. And while that concept broke me out of a sense of limitation, I didn't focus on that. And it took me another 20-something years before really my life changed as I began to discover the power that was within me. You see, the power that's within us as expressions of the divine is a power of decision. It's the power of choice. Now, some folks I know don't think they have any choice at all. Just none at all. They never think of themselves as having any choice. But the choice that we have to choose what we think about, what we're going to eat, what we're going to sleep, where we're going to be, is an empowering decision that's given us as an expression of the divine It's a decision we must make. That power of decision is probably the one power of all that we have as experiences and expressions of the divine. And that experience and that expression of the divine is empowered by the decisions we make. We've been listening to some talks on YouTube, actually chapters out of Neville Goddard's books, and his experience of the divine is that we are the imaging power of the divine, and what we imagine, we claim we can expand and receive. It's sort of like that decision to imagine something that's never been creates trucks and tents and chairs and airplanes. And that imagination, that decision, that creative ability is resolved in that point of decision. I am a child of God. Therefore, I choose what I'm going to focus on. And by that choice, I am transformed. Now, we can either be defined by the labels and the opinions of others. They're sort of like Velcro. You know, people will say something, oh, you're this, you're that. And if you like it, you stick it on. If you don't like it, it doesn't stick. And you don't think about it anymore. You don't give it any more creative energy. It drops off into the never, never land. But the affirmative power of yes, to say yes to that, transforms our life. It's back to that decision process. It's about back to that imagination, the imagining power, the imaging power of the universe moving through us to create worlds. So today's focus is I am a child of God, therefore I choose what I'm going to focus on. Philippians says, think on these things, whatever's true and honest, just, whatever is of good report, if there's anything worthy of praise, think on these things. Why would we want to do that? Well, I can tell you, after 30 years of working with these process of affirmative spiritual practices, it really is what you're going to focus on. If I get up during the night, and get worried and scared and uncertain, and I spend hours laying there in bed worried about it, well, I am giving that the power to transform my experience. But if instead I wake up in the middle of the night and I go back to bed and think, I'm going to spend some time in joyful celebration of my nice, warm, clean bed and my wonderful life, and I count my blessings instead of worrying, that transformative experience will bless me, because now I'm feeding that part of me that knows peace, that knows joy. And if thoughts come through where I feel concerned about something, I can choose again. I can choose again to see with the eyes of Christ, with the eyes of the universe moving through unlimited possibility. So as a Unity Truth student, I've come to understand whatever my focus is what I'm going to experience. It's a decision I make. So I get to choose. Am I going to go to the horror stories and feel energized and excited about that? Some people find that that's a great thing to do to pass the time. But I find that when I do that, I experience nightmares and daydreams of fear and worry and doubt and death. It's just not my choice. And instead, I want to choose to enjoy the breeze. I want to choose to enjoy the sunshine. I want to choose to not let every single thing I think about become a decision point in my life. We have that power to decide that not all of our thoughts are true. Not every thought we hold is something we want to invest with energy and make real. So the theme for this month has been about prayer. And Unity's prayer consciousness is probably the most powerful part of my spiritual practice. It's focusing on what I do want, not on what I don't. It's focusing on the positive, not the negative. It's focusing on those parts where I choose to invest my time, energy, and focus on. It's the books I read, the stories I watch, even the people I talk to. Some people, I don't give them much time in my day. Other people I could sit and enjoy spending hours with because they uplift me. Our conversation inspires me. That too is a prayer practice of deciding I am as God created me. I am God's expression eternally. All things I can and do and say are through the Christ, that divine idea in the mind of God of what I can be enlivens me. And I find that after doing this for this long, I kind of have this running storyline of prayers, of affirmations inside my head that as I'm going through my day, I'm looking for the cup that I want to drink out of. I go, everything I need is right at my fingertips. Everything I need is right at my fingertips. That's an affirmation I did bazillion years ago, bazillion thoughts ago. But yet, when I need that thought, that reassurance, that consciousness, I choose to pull it out of my experience and let it support me because I've put it in there. I am a child of God. Therefore, all things I can and do and be are through that light, that love that lives in me. You see, the power of our will is to make a decision, to choose our focus, whether it's something as simple as the daily word or reading scripture or practicing the presence through being out in nature, engaging in joyful activities with others, or the peace and solitude. Our decision, our focus. Now, some folks will say, I don't think I have that powerful. I have to have a job, and I'm married to this person, and I have these kids, and I drive this car. It's all about decision. Where am I going to put my investment? I can look at it and see the rain, or I can look at it as the blessings or the lessons of my life. You know, the lessons have been just as powerful. It's because out of every adversity, there is a lesson. There is reassurance. There is a reinforcement of the consciousness of yes. And that's what affirmative prayer really is. In the corner of my mind is focusing on thoughts that support and empower me. It's saying what I do want to have come out. I've learned that affirmative prayer really works when I let go of all the little tiny details and just focus on the underlying big picture that supports and empowers the joy of the moment, the need that I want to get met. You know, I did a practice of writing out all of the things that I wanted in my new car. And quite frankly, it all came down to safe, reliable transportation that got me from here to there with joy and ease. And so I'd have to look at what would bring me joy and ease. Well, reliable transportation was a lot. You know, functioning, cost-effective, empowered. And yet, right now, the funnest vehicle that we have is an old jalopy. It's just a crazy. It's a 1988 Jeep. It's a clunker in some ways, but it's the funnest thing that we have to go in, because with the top off and the gears working, we putz around town and it's a great adventure. Now, would that be what I'd want as my daily driver? Yeah, probably not, but it sure is fun. So in this affirmative prayer consciousness, it's about breaking things down to its more elemental, not trying to control every detail, but affirming the good, affirming that basic underlying principle that's true regardless to person, place, and circumstance. You know, if you are somebody who is a grease monkey who loves to do their own work on their vehicles, I think that the 1988 is pretty good because it's a simpler vehicle and it's easy to get parts relatively, and it's easier to fix. But it's not for me to fix. It's hardly mine to drive. Another long story. But each one of us gets to make that decision. Where are we going to put our energy? How much time can you afford to have the car be in the shop? A decision we must make. So affirmative prayer, the end of the day, at the very summation of everything, it's where do I want to invest my energy? Do I want to invest it in the good things of life, thinking of those things that are true and honest and just, whatever is of good report? If there's anything worthy of praise, that's where I want to focus my time. That's where I want, because I am a child of God. I am investing my energy, my light, my love in those things that will bring me closer to being helpful, closer to being harmless in this world, and allowing me to be a presence of the peace and the love of God. So, affirmative prayer, thinking good thoughts, not only for ourselves but for others. Holding a prayer consciousness allows me to transform, my thoughts and experiences away from that which no longer serves, and making a decision, conscious, about where I do want to invest my energy. Namaste.